Welcome in the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are here breaking down everything you need to know in the sports world right now, and we are going to break it down in the best way possible. Bada boom, realest guy in the room. G Money Grant Mitchell, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Tanner. I'm doing very good. I had a very nice weekend, but I got to say, being outside right now is miserable. I don't know where everybody is watching this from around the world. Out here on the East Coast, around the DMV specifically, it's if you get it to 95 degrees outside, it's a cold day. You got a cold front rolling through. I get in my car every day. That temperature says 103, 104. Yesterday it said 107. Me and my girlfriend went out to a little place near us called Old Town where we live, and we walked around. We were going to go to a coffee shop, and thank goodness there was a parking spot literally right out front, because if I was outside for more than a minute or two, like I would have melted. It's that hot out here.
Yeah, I'm in the DMV right now.
Are you really?
I'm in Pennsylvania, York.
There's no D, M, or V in Pennsylvania.
I flew into Baltimore yesterday. That's basically the DMV.
Oh, no, that is the DMV. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So don't disrespect me. I'm 45 minutes, 50 minutes from the DMV. I'm a DMV guy. All you guys from the DMV, I know a few of you say DMV, like you talk about like people actually know what it is.
Everybody doesn't. What are you talking about? Everybody knows what the
people
DMV
outside the DMV probably have no clue what you mean by DMV.
People know the DMV more than they know the tri-state.
Nobody says tri-state.
People say tri-state. What?
Nobody says tri-state because I'm from the tri-state. Nobody says tri-state.
All right. Well, people know. I still don't think anybody knows what New England actually means, because it's like 7 different states.
You have a better idea what New England is than the DMV. So if you're just walking down the street and you say, "Hey, I'm from New England," or "I'm from the DMV," more people are going to know what New England is. 100% more people are going to know what New England is. I'm not saying
it's 7 states. Like you're just grabbing all of them and throwing them all together.
But I know, but at least on a map, I can conceptualize New England. If you say I'm from the DMV, you think you're going to get your driver's license.
It's literally in the name: DC, Maryland, Virginia.
No, because DC's not in there.
What do you? It's the D. It's right.
I understand. I know what the DMV is because I like the reason I know what it is because when I was playing football, there are a lot of good football. I went to camp down in the DMV. There's it's like 1, 2, 3 DMV. Like it sounds freaking stupid, but anyways, New England more popular than the DMV.
Were you going to camp in like the Southern Maryland area?
Maryland, Virginia, I did a camp in. Did camps in Pennsylvania. So yeah. Did that whole region.
Do you remember where in Virginia the camp was?
Arlington, probably.
Okay.
I think camp in Arlington.
That makes sense.
I did camp in like near Baltimore, and then Pennsylvania. I did a few camps too, but I don't remember the spot in that like in the corner where where the Maryland line is.
Yeah. I mean, the DMV is it's not a football powerhouse compared to like Texas, Florida, because obviously those are gonna be your main ones, and California after that. But there are some good schools there, like I think Gonzaga in DC. I believe that's where Caleb Williams and a bunch of other guys have gone. So there's some good schools in the area.
Then you had DeMatha Catholic or DeMatha.
Yeah,
they're good. I mean, they were a top 10 team in the country. Like it's a hotbed of football players. They're like, you have respect here. And nobody's going to be better than Florida, Texas, and California. Like those are the 3 biggest, obviously. But outside of that, I would look to like Pennsylvania and the DMV, like this area for sure.
Pennsylvania is a sleeper too, and then Georgia as well. Georgia obviously got a lot of talent down there.
Yeah, so it's the South though. It's the South. A different way to laugh down there, Grant.
Yeah, and I mean, if right now, if you're a football recruit in Georgia, you're probably staying in Georgia. They're not letting you escape.
Yeah. So speaking of college football recruits, we're going to talk about college football 25 right now. I'm very excited. But before we do that, you need to subscribe to the page. You need to like the video. You need to share the video. You need to subscribe to the video. You need to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You need to do it all to take this thing to the moon. We're coming off a banger episode right now. Caitlin Clark probably had a lot to do with it. A lot of people didn't like our Caitlin Clark take. I don't know. I didn't really read the comments, but it was kind of crazy.
I mean, there was a lot going on. There was people defending our position, criticizing it, and then there was some sort of geopolitical nationalism stuff going on in there. I don't really want to dive into it because it's pretty heavy stuff. But hey, go back and read the comments on the last video. It's a little entertaining.
Yeah, definitely. So Grant, if you had to do an NCAA or college football 25 rebuild, you know what? By the way, I like NCAA better. I know we have to call it college football 25, but I do like NCAA football better. It's more nostalgic to me. But if you were to do a college football 25 rebuild in Dynasty, who's the first team that you're picking and why?
Well, so when I was at school at Virginia Tech, I worked for basically a media company that only covered Virginia Tech sports. And a bunch of the guys who I was there with were getting a dynasty league going together. So I'm actually doing an online dynasty, which I'm very excited for. I've tried to do them before, but the people have never really bought into it. But it does seem like we're going to get through in this. And so what we did was we laid out some rules. We said, okay, our rules are you can't pick a top 25 team, can't pick a ranked team. And that's based on end of year rankings last year and rankings for this year. So it can't be any team from that. And then you also can't pick a regular contender. So, even if they're not in the top 25 right now, if they regularly get to top bowl games or whatever, you're not allowed to pick them either. So with those rules in mind, and also just wanting to pick some fun schools, I can read you our conference if you're interested. There's 8 of us. We have Boise State, Oregon State, Coastal Carolina, Florida Atlantic, San Diego State, East Carolina, Fresno State, and then my school, which I'm very excited about. I picked the University of Houston. I'm taking Houston. I figured you'll find this funny. I made a Google sheet and I wrote out, I had 16 different schools, and then I had 11 different categories that I judged each one based off of. I had proximity to high school recruiting hotbeds. I had program prestige. I had academic rigor, campus life, everything. And I scored everything from 1 to 16 for the amount of schools I had. And I did it for all those and for every school. And when I got to the end, I had 2 schools at the front. I had Arizona State and I had Houston. And then my deciding factor was Houston. I can literally recruit Houston in all of Texas. I think that's better than being in Arizona, which is a little, separate from Cali, separate from Texas. So I ended up going with Houston.
Well, you're definitely not going to get like smart kids going to Arizona State.
We looked that up on a couple of podcasts ago.
If a kid cares about education, he's not coming to play for you in Arizona State. You might have a chance in Houston, but Arizona State, no chance, unless he wants to be a journalist. But I don't think they break the game down that much. When I look at the dynasty mode, I don't really want to play online dynasty because I don't really want to deal with other people. I just want to play. You know what I'm saying? Like that's me. I'm more not into the. By the way, what conference are you doing?
Oh, yeah. So we did conference realignment for every conference. Like everything looks different. Basically, we did it. We tried to un-F up the system because right now it's all gerrymandered and it's about money. It doesn't make sense. We actually stuck to geography. So we actually made things make sense. But the conference we took over, which is the one that is the exception to the rule, it doesn't make any sense. It's just all of our teams together. We took over the Big 12. And then we also needed, so I said there's 8 of us. We needed one more team in there because we needed to have 8 conference opponents to play on our schedule. And pretty much everybody in the group hates Deion Sanders. So they put Colorado in there so they could try to beat him in the game.
Colorado's low-key a good rebuild. Not saying it's a rebuild right now, but that's going to be a fun team to play as in that game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're like one of the top 10, top 15 schools according to the EA rankings.
Mm-hmm. So first off, I don't like playing online dynasty. It's not I don't like playing online dynasty, I guess, but I've dealt with like dealing with people in Madden leagues is not fun. And I feel like this game is so much more intricate when it comes down to recruiting and all that stuff that you have to do to be good. And I don't want to be on a time limit. I don't want someone to say, hey, I got to play my game on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday. I just want to do it. So I'll probably join an online dynasty league at some point. But to start, I'm just going to play regular dynasty. I'm going to take the UConn Huskies all the way to the national championship. That's going to be a very fun rebuild. That's a team that's going to be a great rebuild because they used to be good. They're not really they're not in a conference. I think they're an independent team right now. Get them in a conference. Get him in the SEC, start as the offensive coordinator. I'll probably start as the offensive coordinator, work my way up for them.
Yeah, I mean, because of the nature we're doing it, because we're all together, we are starting as head coaches. But I did have UConn. I did have them on my chart of 16 teams. I wish I could pull it up. I don't know where I would find it, but some of the teams.
UConn.
Huh?
You should have chose UConn. Great facilities. Rowdy
Well,
campus life.
they didn't pass the test. Apparently, I'm sorry, but
Top
the
public
schools
institution.
I had a bunch of schools written down. I'm trying to remember some of them. I had Arizona State, Illinois, which I thought was a little cheap because Illinois has actually been good somewhat recently. But I had UConn. I had like Georgia State and Georgia Southern. I had Kennesaw State. I had Rice. Like I had some weird ones in there. But I think those will all be fun schools to build. And I mean, obviously, like you can, depending on which school you choose, you're choosing how hard you're going to make it for yourself, which is also something you got to factor into it.
Now, what's the over under on how many weeks before people say, like older people that haven't necessarily played video games, like they played NCAA 14? What's the over under on weeks before they say, hey, this is stupid. I regret buying my Xbox and I don't care about this game anymore?
Look, if you're someone 27 and up, which I mean, we're both 26, right? It's not like we're that far away, but just don't play online. If stick to offline and you'll have a much better time unless you're playing your friends. If you play that online mode, you're going to run into some 13-year-old who's never watched a game of college football before and is just going to wipe the floor with you. So that would be my advice to add longevity to the game.
So I bought a new Xbox for this. Like I had
did too.
Yeah, I had the S and I got the X, but I partially because I want a Xbox in 2 different locations right now, but I upgraded to the X for this game and I feel like I'm going to regret it. Not regret it, but I feel like I could have got the same thing accomplished on the S. However, I'm still excited for it.
Yeah, see, I didn't do that. I don't have an Xbox. The last Xbox I owned, actually, that's not true. I had an Xbox One, but I didn't use it much. The last one I really played was the 360. But I mean, the newest game console I had was a PS4. I just really don't game that much anymore. But I had a friend who was selling his Xbox X for a pretty cheap price, and everybody's calling it the college football machine online, which I think is funny, but it's appropriate. Like I'm now talking to you, that's another person. I've met so many people or talked to so many people who have bought a new Xbox or a new PlayStation just so they can play this game.
Yeah, and I bought a second one. So I have 2 Xboxes, which I'm not kind of excited about. I can have one in every different TV. And I also, you know what I got yesterday too, Grant? I bought a racing setup, like an iRacing setup for my Xbox. I got a wheel, I got a chair now. So I'm like ready to go. So like that's awesome. Those are the 2 games I play. Like I only play racing games and I play Madden and now college football. I hate MLB The Show. NBA 2K, like I will play it this coming year, but I don't love it. And then NHL, I don't really love that much.
You want to hear? I told you we did conference realignment. You want to hear like some of the big things we changed?
Yeah. What can you change? I don't even know.
What's up?
What can you change? Like I watched the deep dive, but what can you change?
You can change everything. Like so, here's the ACC. So we got Florida State, Miami, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, Clemson. That's all the same, obviously. But then we've got Maryland, Central Florida, UCF, North Carolina State, Syracuse, Duke, Georgia Tech, Rutgers, Boston College, Wake Forest, and Virginia. That's the new ACC.
It's good. It should be like that. Based on today's world, it's not, because you look at like UCLA going to the Big Ten,
and Stanford and Cal in the ACC now.
Which is crazy for all these kids having to fly across the country to play football every other week.
I think it might have been Cal. I wish I could remember. I'm pretty sure it was one of Stanford or Cal. But basically, if you add up the air miles for all the games they have to travel to, and keep in mind, like they are at home for half the games. But if you add up all the air miles for their upcoming games this season, the distance they travel is basically the same as flying around the world.
Yeah, and when they're going to leave, they'll leave on instead of leaving on a Friday, they'll leave on a Thursday now. So they're there a day. They might leave on a Wednesday. You don't know in today's world.
I mean, like leaving on a Wednesday, if you could, would be the smart thing to do, because I mean, there's a time zone adjustment and everything, and especially with these college games, they're playing at noon. So to a West Coast kid, it's gonna feel like playing football at 9 a.m.
Yeah, most practice in the morning though, I think too, which is one good thing. So if you're out west, you're probably practicing at 9 a.m. West Coast time.
Did you guys practice in the morning?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It depends on the team, but we did.
I mean, obviously I didn't play football, but we practiced. We had some morning practices, obviously. Like we would have morning lifts and everything. And then if we were running twice a day, we'd have morning practice. But our actual standard practice was at 3:30.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it depends too. Like when you're looking at different programs, like a lot of these schools, like if you're at like a big public school, which I wasn't, but if you're a big public school, there's so many courses you can choose to take, right? So they'll make sure that every kid is in a noon or later course. Every kid's in, or if you practice in the afternoon, every kid's done by noon for their classes, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it makes sense. It makes sense.
I'm going to win a national championship at UConn, though. I'm very excited about it.
I'm excited also because I know you were talking about being worried with the online requirements and stuff. I'm definitely going to do Road to Glory
Yeah,
offline,
that
try to
looks
win
cool,
myself
yeah.
a Heisman.
I want the deep dive for Road to Glory. We haven't seen that yet. So today's gameplay, I'm assuming Road to Glory is going to be right before the game drops it drops Monday, I think.
What, the game?
Yeah, so if you see like the way they broadcast the early drop, this is something people need to know this. So early gameplay, when is it?
So I got a calendar here. So today, Monday, we've got a first look at the gameplay.
Okay.
Tuesday, we've got an ultimate team reveal. Wednesday, you get the launch rosters, and Thursday, you get the Road to Glory reveal.
Okay, cool. But I think that so if you look at what is the date that the pre-order comes out?
Well, the game comes out on the 19th, if I'm not mistaken, and I believe the pre-order is the 16th. So that would
16th.
be next Tuesday.
But if you go into your Xbox and you download the game, like I pre-ordered it, so I went in and it said the 15th at 4 p.m. Like we'll download the 15th at 4 p.m. And I was thinking about this, like thinking why. Number one, the servers are going to crash for this game. The servers crash every year for Madden. They're definitely going to crash this year. Number two, if you're looking at like kids in overseas, like in England or China or wherever, that would be their 16th basically. And then you can't also say it comes out at midnight that night, like for the East Coast, because say it's like, okay, it comes out at midnight East Coast, but it comes out at 9 p.m. Pacific. Like I don't think you can like geogate it. So
I think they'll let you download it. Like you said, they'll let you download it on the 15th.
You can't get in.
Yeah, depending on your location, they might not let you in until midnight.
I just don't think that's fair though for the people on the West Coast. Like they don't get once the East Coast gets it, the West Coast should get it.
I agree. I don't know how it's going to work, but it's the 16th. That's what I know.
Midnight. It's midnight on the 16th or 4 p.m. on the 15th. All right, Grant. Let's talk about Bronny James. Bronny James is not ready for the spotlight. Had a rough summer league debut. I don't think he made a three. He did have a tough layup, according to LeBron James. If you watch that, LeBron was watching the game and nice little layup. He said that was tough, even though I probably could have made it. It's a sad thing for Bronny because he's one, probably not ready, and two, he's going to get extra criticism. If he wasn't LeBron James's son, yesterday's performance wouldn't have mattered. But since he's LeBron James' son, and since he was taken by the Lakers, he is under extra scrutiny, and he didn't have a good first game. So if you are sitting there as a Lakers fan, Grant, what are you thinking right now?
I agree. I want to make my stance clear. I don't think Bronny is ready to play heavy minutes in the NBA. Throw him 5 or 10 where you can. Try to help him develop. I think him going to the G League, as it's been reported he will do for most of the season, is a good thing. But if it's way too early to judge a player off of Summer League, in my opinion. Like, I remember when Tyus Jones won Summer League MVP, and it looked like he was going to be the next great point guard, and he's become one of the better backup point guards, but, it is what it is. I've seen Josh Hart win Summer League MVP. I've seen Lonzo Ball win Summer League MVP as a rookie. It's a bunch of guys who are career backups, international players that maybe didn't come here when they got drafted, 19-year-olds, or just guys who are, to use an example like Patrick Beverly or PJ Tucker, guys that had to play overseas for however many years, and then they finally get a shot here. Like, you've got guys diving into people's knees, trying to scoop up these loose balls. It's pure like high school basketball in the terms of everybody's just flying 100 miles an hour. There's no prioritization of really skill set or running an offense. It's just pure physical aggression and effort. So, it's good when you do see the bright things, but if players are struggling, I don't think I don't think it's a sign of bad things to come. Like we're talking about Bronny, his teammate Dalton Connect, who by the way is one of the top 3 candidates to win Rookie of the Year this year. He didn't play well either. I mean, in his first game, he had 12 points on 3 of 12 shooting, was 1 of 4 from 3. But nobody's talking about that because he doesn't share a name with LeBron. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't overreact. It's his first game. It's summer league. However, people are overreacting, and it just he needs to perform well in this. Like, I think he can go in the G League and be horrendous. Nobody's going to be caring about him in the G League. We're going to be focused on regular NBA basketball. But since it's the only thing on right now, he needs to shoot decent from the field. He needs to score a few points because the Lakers are, you got JJ Redick coming out and saying, Bronny deserved this. Bronny earned it. And we know he was a prospect, but he probably wasn't the 55th ranked prospect. You got LeBron James coming out yesterday saying, I just want him to get better. I think that's a great quote from him. And that's true. But unfortunately, it's your son. It's LeBron James's kid. He can't just focus on getting better. He needs to perform in these games. And also, Summer League is horrendous. It's the worst basketball I've ever watched. I've gambled. When I went to Vegas last year at this time, this was the only thing on because it was during the All-Star break in baseball. And it was the worst basketball I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's really bad. Look, the Lakers better hope Bronny improves or Dalton Connect improves or somebody, because I don't know if you saw this. They are the only team in the NBA that has not made a single signing in free agency or made a single trade. They are the only team. And I know you call me the Lakers fan. I guess I do have some Lakers bias, even though I try to take it out of whenever we have conversations about them. But this is my thing. If you're a team who got to the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago, kind of unexpectedly, they were the 7 seed. They still had to get through the play-in. You've been in the play-in like 3 of the last 4 years. Last year, you lose in the first round. You only win 1 game, and it was after you were down 3-0. Your best player is 39, about to be 40 in a few months. Anthony Davis is an old 31. He played a lot of games last year, but we know how much of an injury risk he is. How either ignorant or stupid are you as the general manager to keep the exact same team? Again, you're not competing for a championship. We know that based on how things have gone the last couple of years. Your best players are getting older, and you're still you're not saying, okay, we're done with contending. We're going to start to rebuild for the future. You're doing none of that. You're accomplishing nothing, and you're running the team into the ground in the now and in the future.
I agree with that. And at the same time, too, you hired a new head coach who's never coached in the NBA before. He's never coached in college before. So he's only coached his kids in 3rd grade basketball. So you're really in a tough spot if you're the Lakers. Like, these moves could be catastrophic. If JJ Redick doesn't pan out as a head coach, that's not going to work out. I do think he's going to be a good head coach, but if he doesn't pan out, you look like an idiot that should have just realized he's never coached in the league before. You hired him based off a podcast. Then on top of that, you sign Bronny James. Bronny James was clearly nepotism. He's probably not going to pan out to be Derek White. Even if he does, he had one hell of a career. But if he just goes in the G League and never really makes it up, and it's a waste of a pick, I do think it'll fade. Like, once LeBron's gone, I don't think we'll talk about Bronny James that much. But that's another move where it's a knock against the front office. So it's an interesting situation for the Lakers. Probably should have went out and got somebody, but nobody wants to go to LA right now. That's what they tried to get people, but nobody wants to go there, and it makes sense. I don't like seeing them sign Bronny James. I don't necessarily like them hiring JJ Redick as head coach, who's never been a head coach. Why would you want to go there as a player? And they're not in a competing window, as you were saying.
Yeah, and it used to be you could ignore things like that. And on top of, let's just take the Lakers front office out of it, and let's take JJ Redick out of it. There have always still been negatives to playing with LeBron. Normally, if you're the second guy or you're a key role player, it's good. But if you're the third guy, or if you're like the 6th man and you underperform, that's where you get scapegoated. Chris Bosh was scapegoated, Kevin Love was scapegoated in certain instances. For the other guys, it's actually been a sweet ride, but you are open to more scrutiny. Some people like being on television, some people don't. A player like a Malik Beasley, a guy that was shooting 40% from 3, goes to LA, completely forgets how to shoot the basketball, falls out of the rotation, and then the next year he goes to Milwaukee and he's one of the league leaders in 3-point percentage again. Like, it does come with its ups and downs. The biggest up has been, if you're playing with LeBron, you're getting to the finals. That's how it was for most of his career. It's not like that now at 39 or 40 years old. LeBron is still one of the top 8 or 9 players in the league, but when he goes and has these individual matchups with the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic, you can tell Jokic is the best player on the court, and he will his team to win that series. And honestly, Jokic should have made the conference finals at least last year. We talked about that. The Timberwolves threw that one. But the point being, LeBron himself is not enough to outweigh the negatives when you're considering about going to play with LA.
No, 100%. There's a lot of things you have to take into account. And you look at like Klay Thompson going to Dallas. And I personally think he went to Dallas because it's a more young, fun organization. You get to play with Luka Doncic. You get to play with Kyrie. You get to play for a team that was just in a championship last year and has a chance to potentially compete again this year. Or you go to LA where you get a new head coach. You got LeBron James, but also you're probably not going to win a championship. You're going to be a playoff team that's going to fall short.
Yeah. Speaking of basketball and speaking of LeBron and some of these other guys, the Anthony Davises, the Kevin Durant's of the world, we got Summer Olympic basketball coming up here. And I have a hot take that I know you I don't know if you agree with it or not, but basically my opinion is that this is the last time we will see Team USA as the heavy favorites to win the gold medal. Now, they might still be favored, but I could see this easily dropping to plus 100, minus 120 by the next Olympics. And the reason I say that is, well, LeBron's 39, Steph is 36, Durant's 36. You got 12 players on the team. Right now, 5 of them are at least 33. And then another 2, Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid, they're 30 and 31, but they're both 7-foot big men who we know have shorter careers, and they both have long injury histories. So we don't know they will be available 4 years from now. So if you look ahead to 2028, there's a good chance 7 of the 12 people on this roster are not on that team.
I agree with your take that this might be the last year that they're not, the team that they are now, but they're still the US. They're still going to have the best basketball players in the world. They're still going to be the most well-rounded team in the world. Like all these big time countries, they have good players, but they have one star player. You look at Jokic, you look at Doncic, you look at Shea, you look at like every country's got one guy. We have 10 guys, 12 guys, whatever it is. I mean, the US is set up very well this year. I think they're still set up in the future just because it is, in the end of the day, basketball is an American sport.
So looking ahead at what, 4 years from now, like just kind of projecting out based on what we see right now, because obviously we don't know the future. But I think a couple of names you can put in there are probably Devin Booker. I think he'll still be fine at that age. Anthony Edwards is going to be there. You would expect Tyrese Halliburton to be there. Cooper Flagg, I think people are expecting him to be there. You're going to have a Paolo Banchero, people like that. Bam is going to be, I believe, 30 years old. Bam will probably be there. But I don't know.
Tatum and Brown. Oh my God.
Tatum. Yeah, sorry, Tatum.
Those guys. Come on.
That's funny because while you were talking, I was thinking, how old's Tatum going to be? And I think he's going to be 30. He's 26 right now, so he'd be 30 at the next Olympics.
He'll be fine.
Oh yeah, I'm 30 is still right in the middle of your prime in this day and age in the NBA.
He'll play in 34 too. He'll play in 2 more.
You mean 32?
No. Well, he's going to be 26, 30, 34.
Oh, I thought you were saying 2034. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tatum will be there. But I mean, I hear you're out because when you have a team like that, if your team is just headlined by Jason Tatum, Paolo Banchero, Anthony Edwards, whoever else, it should be enough. But again, that team is very different from Steph, Durant, LeBron, Embiid, Kawhi. It doesn't make you a heavy favorite. And I guess the counter argument is 4 years from now, Nikola Jokic probably won't be the best basketball player in the world. Maybe it's Luka, maybe it's a younger player, but like Jokic is going to be declining. Giannis is going to be declining. So I don't know. I think there is just a lot of unknown, but I know, and we know how much the game is globalized recently. And I think you are going to see more and more players coming from, other countries. Victor Wembanyama could easily be the best player in the world at the next Olympics.
Yeah, definitely. But it doesn't come down to the best player. It comes down to the best team. And the team that you just named off for the U.S. in 4 years is still really good. And I'm not saying the U.S. can be like minus 380 at the next Olympics, but they're also much better than every other team that you named with these these countries with like one star.
I want to, because I believe Canada is second in odds. The odds to win the Olympics or win the gold medal in basketball are USA, then Canada, and then you've got Serbia and France tied for third. Let me look at Canada's roster. I know I can name some of the players, but I don't know the whole team.
Who's our 3-on-3 roster?
Oh, it's a bunch of nobodies. Like, what's his name? Why am I Jimmer Fredette? You remember Jimmer Fredette, the campus legend at BYU? He's 35 years old now, and he's the number one option on our 3-on-3 team.
Shanghai Sharks action.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the Canada team that, if you look at odds, should win the silver medal. You've got Nikhil Alexander-Walker, RJ Barrett, Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort, Zach Edey, Shea, Kelly Olynyk, and Dwight Powell are the NBA players on there.
Now, can that team, if the U.S. played that team 10 times, can Canada beat the U.S.?
I mean, their best case would be one time. I would take the U.S. 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
But the Canada team could also be better, 4 years from now.
Oh, definitely. But like this year, looking at it, I think we were talking about this minus 380. I'd play it. I'd put a big chunk down.
Yeah, I do think I'm gonna play minus 380, and it'll be the first time I've ever played a straight bet that low. But I don't see, again, LeBron, Steph, Durant, Kawhi, Embiid, Booker, AD, Drew Holiday. I just don't see that team losing to anyone out there right now. Did you know the U.S. Olympic basketball team, I'll let you guess, they started playing in 1932. How many games do you think the U.S. men's national basketball team has lost at the Olympics?
5.
Pretty much dead on. 6. They've lost 6 games since 1932.
How many gold medals? Have they only not won the gold medal one time?
I don't know. I'll try to. I can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 gold medals in 20 Olympics.
17.
And also, I said they lost 6 times. 3 of their losses were in 2004. So 3 of them in one Olympics.
Okay. So they just didn't have a good run in 2004.
Yeah, 2004 was what inspired the Redeem team in 2008.
So I know we're going to talk about this more, and this will be the last thing, but if you it's the format pool play, like you can lose one in the first. You can lose one.
So it's like the World Cup or the European Championships or whatever. So you get points for a win. I mean, in those you get points for a draw as well, but it's points for a win, no point for a loss. And then at the end of the 3 games, you just add up the amount of points that were scored by the teams. And then the top however many get to move on to the bracket.
And that's a knockout round.
Yeah. Once you get into the bracket, it's single elimination. Well, it's not single elimination. It is single elimination, but then right at the end, if you lose, then you drop down to the bronze medal game.
Okay, gotcha. You know what the best bet probably of all these is? U.S. women 3-on-3 team plus 160.
Who is U.S. 3-on-3 women's basketball team?
Plus 160.
Give
me Angel Reese.
Where's the roster?
No, she's not on that team, I don't think. U.S. women.
Okay, we got Kennedy Brown, Sierra Bird.
Kennedy?
No. She's Chandler. We got Kennedy Brown, Sierra Burdick, Ryan Howard, Lexi Hall, Sydney Taylor, and Haley Van Lith.
No, they suck.
They're young.
I'll tell you what, they're better than Azerbaijan, Germany, Spain, China, Australia. China's going to have some girls that can hit threes. Like I saw a video the other day of just Chinese girl knocking down threes in a women's league over there.
Have you seen I think she's 7'4"? There's like a 7'4", 14-year-old Chinese woman playing basketball.
Yep, I've seen it. And she got kicked out of her league, I think, because she was too tall.
Did she really?
Yeah, like she was playing against kids, so they said you can't play anymore.
That's funny.
But anyways, Grant, that was another episode of Ride the Line. Take us out of here today.
Guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Ride the Line. Before you get on out of here, make sure that you do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Drop some comments. Let us know, what do you think about the U.S. basketball team moving forward? We will catch you all in the next episode of Ride the Line.